Okay, I know some of you had asked me to write up how we had put together our aquaponic garden, and I don't really have time to write it up right now, so I'm doing a short video, which I never do, so please excuse my recording. It's not the greatest. But starting with the beginning, we have a 55-gallon bucket that is attached to another 55-gallon bucket with a hose. And we have a submersible pump inside of the bucket. It's rated for 160 gallons an hour, but of course it doesn't go that fast because it's going uphill, so we're not really sure how much it's actually pumping, but it's rated for 160 gallons an hour. And we have a bubbler, and we're going to get another one of those for the other bucket. You want to have as much air going as possible. Then we've got three 12-foot pieces of 4-inch PVC pipe, and those go all the way down, and then they're connected on that end, and then they're connected again on this end with two 90-degree elbows and this connector piece in the center. Every 8 inches we have drilled a 2-inch hole, which we've put a net basket in. The net baskets are relatively cheap. We got them at Virginia Hydroponics for $1 a piece, but we found them online for cheaper, so we've ordered some more that we're going to do the third pipe for. We've just added the third pipe recently because you don't want to have your water being pumped up and dumped back into the same bucket. You want to have it dumped into the other end of your line, because that way the water will actually cycle all the way around and all of the water will be good, and you won't have just one stagnant bucket sitting down at the other end. For a growing medium, we've used Grodan rock wool, which is these little squares in here. Let me see if I can take one out. This is apparently, someone told me it's a volcanic rock that's been heated up and spun like cotton candy. They're pretty easy to use. They've all got a hole in the top. You just drop the seed in, and then you put those in the baskets. We don't put them in the baskets in our system until they have some sort of root growth on the bottom. See, I don't know if you can see that, but there's root growth in all of these on the bottom. Some of them are doing better than others because some sprouted sooner than others. Another thing that we used was the Jiffy Pot or Jiffy Peat pellets. For some of these, for these lettuce right here, we did those in the Jiffy Peat pellets. They've been in here for a little while now, and the peat and everything is staying in the pellets, so it's not making our system any dirtier, and it seems to be working out, so we might try to just use them later on in the season or next year. Some of you might remember I was impatient, and I took this romaine, which is beautiful, and had washed the dirt off of it. This was a bunch of romaine that was growing in dirt, and we had washed the dirt off of the roots and cut a piece of rock wool in half and stuck it on there with toothpicks. And I didn't know whether or not it was going to work or not, so we were just trying it out. And when I had first put it in, it had roots that looked like that because I couldn't pull the roots through the basket properly, and they were all crammed in the rock wool. And so that was about as much as I could pull through. And now it's got this tremendous root system, which shows me that it's working pretty well. If you look closely, you can see that each of the roots that come out have more roots shooting off of the ends, and that one's just doing really, really well. And you can move them around and stuff. I mean, it's not like growing in dirt where once it's there, you have to leave it in that spot. But when people come over and look, we let them actually pick the outer leaves off of this and eat them. And of course, just like perpetual harvest in a dirt garden, more just keeps growing out of the center, and it just keeps growing. This is an onion that we had chucked out because it had gotten soft, and when I went to do my garden, it had taken root in the garden. So I pulled it out and stuck it in here, and it seems to be doing pretty good. The whole onion is firmed up nicely again. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but we're just basically playing around with stuff right now just to see what works and what doesn't. We've got a couple of green peppers over here that seem to be doing well. Those are also in the peat pots. But it all seems to be working pretty well. One of the things that you need to remember is that if you do the 12-foot sections, you're going to want something in the center to stabilize your system, because if you don't, the weight from the water makes the pipe sag, and then the water pours out of the ones in the middle. Another thing that we did was on the ends, we cut a 2-liter bottle in half, and we put half of the 2-liter bottle on this side to plug up this end, and then the other half is on this side to plug up this end. And you want to have the same amount of water coming out on this end as you have pumping into the other end, otherwise it'll leak and there'll be stuff that comes out. Once the roots get long enough to where they're reaching the bottom, we're going to take those out and we're going to put this thing in. I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea what this is. It says on it 3-inch SDR spigot adapter GR. When we put this in, it'll make it so that instead of having, like, see where this is filled to this line? I don't know if you can see it, but it's filled to this high. It'll make it so that it won't hold as much water in it, and it'll just flow through with a small trickle. That's really all you need when you do an NFT system. An NFT system is constant flow, so that it's not on any timers. There's no ebb and flow. It just runs constantly, and we don't have to worry about it. But that seems to be the easiest way that we could figure out to do this, and the cheapest way. Now that we know that it's going to work, we're probably going to be putting some more money into it by adding a grow bed on this end. You want to have a grow bed to help filter out some of the solid waste from the fish. And then if you have it so that it's not completely filling with water, you can put red wigglers in there, and they'll eat the solid waste and give off their own solid waste that's like pure compost tea being given to your plants. So this is what we did, and if you have any questions, please post them below, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. But we really like it so far, and there's a good possibility that this is all we'll do next year, because excuse me, there's no tilling, no weeding, no mess. It's high enough up that nobody has to bend down or get on their hands and knees for it, and the vegetables seem to love it. So we're going to keep on trying it, see what happens.